and then we're going to set our feet. We're going to turn our feet out 20 to 30 degrees, not more, and we're going to start descending down into the squat. And as we do this, you want to make sure that you want to try and make sure that your arches aren't collapsing in, but the most important thing is to make sure that your toes here, second, third, fourth toe, have the knee tracking over them directly. You don't want the knee buckling in, and you don't want the knee too far out. Okay, you want the knee in line with those middle toes. Okay, and as long as you do that and keep a straight back, it doesn't really matter how far down you go. When we first started this with my girlfriend 2 years ago, she could barely go down 45 degrees because she had never squatted before, had no idea, what she was doing in terms of keeping a straight back. So she could do primitive squat just like anybody who's uninjured can, but she couldn't do a proper squat form for getting under a barbell, and she wanted to learn. So this is how we started. We started off like this. I'm now in the doorway. My nose is going to be within a couple inches of the door frame at all times. And what that does is that forces me to stay upright and not to go into excessive lean. Okay? My toes are not way past the door frame. They are either right up on the center of the door frame, on that horizontal plane, or they're a couple inches inside, not more than 3 or 4. Okay, getting way back here just let you bend over and do whatever you want, and it teaches poor form. So we want to stay close to this pillar. And as we get into the frame and we get into stance, I turn my feet out about 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock. My right foot is turned to 1 o'clock, my left foot is turned to 11 o'clock. And that gives me the space to open my hips and avoid impinging things in the pelvis and femur region, basically in the acetabulum and between the bony structures near there. Okay, so as we go down, I want to make sure that my legs are not buckling in towards the door, all right? And I have my fingers behind the molding, so I'm holding myself here. So if I stand up straight, I'm basically on the door, right? All I do is I spread my feet out. Now if you're actually this close to the door, you're not going to get much below parallel, typically, okay? So as I go down, I set my back, so I'm not in an extreme arch, but I'm not rounded. I never let myself round, okay? And neither should you. So now, we're set, and my nose basically stays right on the door. I use the fingers for balance. You might only get to here and say, whoa, I'm losing my balance, or maybe that starts up here. That's cool. When you feel like, oh boy, I don't have control anymore, just stay there. And what you want to do is, if you have to, use this door frame. Like if you feel like you're falling back, hold yourself in position and figure out how to bring yourself into a better position so that you don't need the finger pressure anymore before you go further down. Then you get further down. If you feel yourself doing this bit, no good. You want to keep that back in the neutral position, okay? And I'm still looking forward. And as I get further and further down, some people have a tendency to let their knees buckle in. You want to really fight that. Don't push them out as far as you can. You can hurt yourself that way too. Just keep them lined up with the center of the toes, right? Toes number 2, 3, 4. And as I get down, right, this is about as far as I'm going to get at this stance width. But notice I don't need my hands. Now, not everybody has my particular body segment lengths, and all that really means is that different people are going to have slightly different angles at different squat widths, and that's totally okay. The things that you can't compromise on are keeping that straight back, keeping the toes in line with the knee, and the knee in line with the toes, okay? And also, trying to keep the weight. If I'm looking at the foot, right, I want the weight to be about right here. I don't want it to be here near the middle of the arch. That means that this is where most of the weight is. This arch is going to collapse on you, okay? You're going to start stretching out posterior tendon, having pain, almost like shin splints that are behind the shin, right, which is posterior tibialis. And the arch of your foot can hurt, get plantar fasciitis, a lot of things can happen there. What we want is for the weight to be along this edge more and not so much up here. More back here underneath the ankle, which means most of your weight is going to be on your heel. Not all of it. If all your weight's on the heel, you're going to rock back and your toes are going to peel up. So you don't want that. And from the top, what this will look like is the weight should kind of be in this area. Not in this area, right? But to the outside just a little bit. Not all the way on the edge, but about out here, okay? To practice that, you're just going to get in position and shift your weight around slowly so you can feel how, oh, when I do this, the pressure is at the balls of my feet. When I do this, the pressure is only on the heels and my toes are peeling up. And then go back and forth until you find that center spot. Then do the same thing until you figure out the difference between inside and outside and get it towards about 2/3 on the outside. You'll notice that takes the pressure off of your arches. It's also going to take some concentration, so take your time on that. Whether you decide to go into weighted squats, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, or whether you decide to just do body weight stuff, this is really a foundational form that you need to learn.